The door of a suburban California house blew open, the hinges ripped right off the wooden frame, and FBI SWAT teams flooded in as dust choked the entryway. A Chinese man at the computer rack frantically tried to type the last few commands. The screen was dense with code sequences transmitting back to the core system of a U.S. national bank. Phantom transactions surged like a flood, millions of dollars were rerouted in a matter of seconds. On the surveillance monitor, credit charts warped, and customer accounts were hijacked. The technical team rushed forward, yanked the power cords, and blocked the network connection. He sprang up, attempting to run, but was immediately tackled and subdued on the floor. One of the hard drives was removed on the spot, and a technician reported. The data packet is still being sent. The immediate command, isolate all frequencies and lock down mobile signals within a 200-meter radius. The final line of code still slipped out through a hidden port. Hundreds of encrypted files appeared on the server, bearing the hallmarks of a remote command chain. The FBI realized this was not a regular financial attack but part of a larger structure, a synchronized mechanism activated simultaneously across multiple points in the United States. A field command post was immediately set up on the front lawn. The recovered data was backed up using government-grade secure devices. In the main drive, the analysis team found repeating Chinese characters hidden within the modified firewall software. The origin was preliminarily traced to Shanghai and Shenzhen, routed through intermediary servers in Europe. The automated command lines logged every system access, disguised as internal testing data. He was not working alone. The house was sealed, and every door was controlled. Inside, dozens of electronic devices were seized: laptops, phones, storage drives, and encryption modules. All contained partially erased data, indicating he had been trained to destroy evidence in an emergency. On the wall, papers with strange characters outlined the network connectivity paths for government agencies, the Treasury, and transportation and energy systems. The analysis team concluded this was the first layer of a hacker network organized under a military model. The commanding agent requested immediate liaison with the National Cyber Counterintelligence Center. At that moment, an encrypted signal was detected from the house's very own server, heading outside the border. The technical team decided to trace back, opening a direct access line. The screen displayed hundreds of virtual IP addresses appearing simultaneously, simulating an automated response. Multiple domestic defense systems were triggered, leading to network interference within national security systems. A technician tried to block the transmission but was too late. A portion of the data had escaped, carrying the identifier code long code. The emergency situation was escalated to the highest level. The FBI director ordered a complete lockdown of the entire banking system, cutting off major transaction centers. An agent on the team was slightly injured when a backup power supply exploded due to an implanted self-destruct device. The automatic fire suppression system activated, white smoke filling the room, but the hard drives were secured. As all the equipment was transported to the digital forensics lab, the FBI found another detail. In a secondary server, there was a file named Keynote 0. This file contained a code sequence leading to another group of users, operating concurrently across multiple U.S. states. The entire investigation department determined this was just one link in a nationwide attack network. Forensics sealed the scene. The attacker was escorted to a vehicle, expressionless, saying nothing. Behind them, the server racks still glowed, like a system that was still alive. The FBI understood. This arrest was only the beginning. Behind that data packet that just escaped across the border, there might be an entire global cyberattack campaign waiting to be triggered. And before we get to the next developments, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our exciting videos. The hard drives, servers, and encryption devices from the suburban California house were transported directly to the Federal Digital Forensics Center. Beneath the multi-layered encryption, the technical team extracted thousands of command files, each numbered according to a center satellite model. Anonymous IP addresses spanned across the United States, many tagged with links to energy agencies, financial institutions, and military infrastructure. All the data suggested this was not a solitary act but a coordinated attack campaign, controlled from a mother server outside U.S. territory. As the decryption process proceeded, a 3D network structure appeared on the screen. Hundreds of data nodes connected to the same encryption core named long code. Experts confirmed it operated like an artificial nervous system, capable of self-restructuring and distributing attack tasks to compromised civilian computers. If activated simultaneously, they could cripple the entire banking transaction system and shatter the national credit chain. the analysis agent discovered a specific code segment. Chinese character strings inserted into the supplementary section of accounting software used by many major banks. This code opened a backdoor, allowing access without authentication, a technique typically found only in state-sponsored cyber espionage campaigns. Cross-referencing results showed the source code matched samples previously found in an attack on a UK tech company. This confirmed the existence of an organized, trained, and tiered Chinese hacker network. While the technical team was still extracting data, an unusual signal appeared. A server from Texas responded to an FBI query despite never having been connected. This finding was immediately sent to the Campaign Coordination Center. The order was issued, open reverse access, and tracked the transmission back to the origin. The data stream led to a warehouse in suburban Dallas, where the signal had been continuously broadcast for 2 hours. The FBI director ordered the deployment of a rapid response team. Simultaneously, 2 other points in New Jersey and Illinois also displayed similar frequencies, showing the network was operating in multiple states at once. An emergency meeting room was opened. On the large map, the bright spots were clear: Texas, New Jersey, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, forming an arc around the entire U.S. financial system. A specialist stated succinctly, "If all of these activate at once, the data supply chain will collapse within hours." No one replied. A comprehensive sweep warrant was signed. Operation Firewall's codename was officially issued. While the ground teams prepared, the analysis group continued to dissect the Keynote 0 file recovered from the Chinese suspect. Inside was a list of over 30 hidden user accounts, each with activity logs tied to Chinese time zones. They used an internal communication tool based on a platform mimicking a social network, with two-way encryption and 10-minute self-destruction. Traces showed multiple access points from high-tech industrial zones in Shenzhen and Nanjing. This confirmed that the attack was not only targeting banks but also extending to research agencies and defense contractors. Concurrently, the National Security Agency activated a special level of protection for government network infrastructure. Hundreds of cybersecurity engineers were mobilized to check every data port. A portion of the banking transaction system had to be temporarily suspended, causing shock across the market. Stocks of major financial corporations plummeted, and the media began to ask, is the U.S. under attack from within? A veteran agent in the counterintelligence team concluded, they are not stealing money, they are testing the resilience of the entire system. The short statement closed the meeting, opening a new phase of the campaign. 3 special teams were ordered to deploy simultaneously, targeting the 3 hotspots: Texas, New Jersey, and Illinois. Each route would include an accompanying technical team, ready to deal with any situation. 3 SWAT teams left FBI headquarters before sunrise. Each team was assigned a different task but shared the same goal: trace and neutralize the active long code network control points. The first team headed to Texas, where the suburban Dallas warehouse was identified as the main data transmission station. The second team moved to New Jersey, suspecting a clandestine coordination center converted from an old printing shop. The third team advanced toward Illinois, where a group of hackers was believed to be hiding in a technology university dormitory. In Texas, the FBI assault team approached the warehouse in a deserted industrial area. The exterior looked like a goods storage facility, but inside they discovered an independent cooling system and power supply, the sign of an underground data center. When the steel door was breached, the hackers inside activated a self-destruct system. Hard drives were simultaneously overwritten, and screens disappeared in a rapid erasure sequence. SWAT teams rushed in, subduing 3 suspects carrying Chinese passports, one of whom was injured trying to flee through a side door. Some equipment was charred, but the technical team managed to save a few storage drives that hadn't been completely destroyed. These contained the main control code for the long code network and a list of satellite nodes. The search ended, and the warehouse was completely sealed. Concurrently, in New Jersey, the second team approached an abandoned warehouse in an older residential area. The satellite signal system there had been unusually active for hours. When the FBI stormed in, 4 hackers were controlling a server cluster, transmitting encrypted data overseas via commercial satellite network. A brief shootout occurred as they tried to escape. 2 suspects were shot down, and an agent was hit in the shoulder. The technical team urgently recovered data at the scene, discovering a series of maps marking the locations of secret servers across the United States. All data was sealed and immediately transferred to the analysis center. In Illinois, the third team received a suspicious signal from a technology university dormitory. Campus security assisted in sealing off the area. Upon breaking into the suspect's room, they only found the computer array running automatically. The operator had fled through an emergency exit minutes earlier. Accessing the system, the technical team discovered an internal camera recording an Asian man leaving a short time before, carrying a duffel bag containing electronic equipment. Initial traces matched a Shanghai native network engineer named Liu Jiwei, a former programmer at a Chinese state-run cybersecurity company. He was suspected of being the chief engineer of the long code network. From the central lab, the analysis team connected the 3 data points: Texas, where the mother server was stored; New Jersey, the intermediate transmission station; Illinois, the technical hub. When combined, the map displayed a complete tiered network, simulating the command and control model of a military agency. What the FBI was facing was no longer independent cybercrime, but an organized attack system directed from outside the U.S. territory. In the emergency meeting, commanders presented 2 options: lock down all data to block the attack, or launch a digital counterattack to trace the mother server. The second option was chosen, despite the high risk of few seconds of error, and the long code system could self-activate a total data destruction mode, causing all evidence to vanish. The cybersecurity specialists at headquarters began the traceback. On the screen, data streams ran like a tangled spider web. Anti-access responses were triggered. An artificial firewall blocked all attempts at approach. After 10 minutes, they found a strange link, originating from a commercial server cluster located in Shenzhen. The signal was encrypted in a military format, indicating the involvement of a technical unit belonging to the Chinese security forces. An international arrest warrant was prepared, but first, the FBI had to deal with the remaining domestic links. The suspects arrested in Texas and New Jersey provided fragmented confessions, only admitting to receiving orders via encrypted channels, unaware of their superiors. However, the seized equipment contained a data transmission schedule that coincided with the timing of the attack on the U.S. National Bank. As night fell, the SWAT teams completed their reports. 3 hotspots were dismantled, but signs indicated more facilities were active. In the command room, the map of the United States was covered in red dots. Each dot was an unverified signal. The FBI director said only one sentence: "This is only the first layer." The campaign moved to Phase 2: comprehensive containment and capture of the remaining Chinese hacker groups within the United States. The hunt had officially begun, not only on the ground but also in the raging cyberspace. When the data recovered from Texas and Illinois confirmed New Jersey as the main transit station, the FBI immediately launched a full-scale containment operation. The target, an old warehouse near the Passaic River, registered under the name of a Chinese import-export company. The exterior was derelict, but inside was a dense network of fiber optic cables, connected directly to international submarine cables. The director ordered the raid to proceed in broad daylight to prevent the suspects from activating data self-destruct mode at night. 3 assault teams simultaneously approached from 2 directions. Armored vehicles blocked the front, SWAT teams sealed off the adjacent residential area, and the technical team set up signal jamming antennas. Inside the warehouse, the Chinese hacker group was still active, unaware that the entire area was under control. They were transmitting the final data block to a server located in Hong Kong, at speeds exceeding the norm. When the steel door was breached, white smoke billowed from the automated system, causing temporary blindness. SWAT teams entered, moving in formation. The hackers resisted, throwing electronic jamming devices and using makeshift short-range weapons. One agent was hit in the leg and safely pulled out. The FBI returned controlled fire, 2 suspects were shot down, and the last one barricaded himself in the central control room. Before negotiations could begin, he activated the data destruction code. Inside the control room, dozens of servers were running at maximum capacity, data streams pouring out via commercial satellite. The technical team had to simultaneously subdue the subject and find a way to cut the transmission source. A cybersecurity expert connected directly to the control panel, overriding the deletion process with government-grade security code. The battle of wits lasted for several minutes, each command line fighting for control. When the satellite signal was blocked, the system suddenly switched to living firewall mode, an automatic counterattack algorithm, sending malware back into the FBI system. The entire operations room had to urgently disconnect to prevent spread. After over 15 minutes of struggle, the technical team gained final access. Hard drives were removed and sealed, and the servers were temporarily shut down. In the recovered data cache, they discovered hundreds of documents numbered by classification, including a list of strategic targets, the Department of Energy, the Federal Aviation Administration, and several major defense contractors. Each file had the designation LC7, confirming this was the 7th branch of the long code network. The agent in charge of the scene immediately reported to Washington. Intelligence specialists confirmed. The data segment from New Jersey contained direct communication commands with the mother server located in Shenzhen. This meant the attack was not limited to domestic scope but was an act of a state nature. The Department of Homeland Security issued a national-level alert, demanding all government agencies immediately scan their systems. Meanwhile, the 3 arrested hackers were escorted out. One was seriously injured, and the other 2 remained absolutely silent, only requesting a Chinese diplomatic representative. The entire warehouse was sealed. The FBI erected a cordon, controlling the flow of people. The intact equipment was loaded onto armored vehicles, escorted to the federal data center in Washington. Initial analysis showed that, in addition to the financial attack, the group had collected personal data of over 300,000 federal employees, including biometric identification information. The true objective of the long code campaign began to emerge, not just to hit the economic system, but to seize access to government personnel files, paving the way for long-term infiltration campaigns. When the raid ended, medical and forensic teams entered. The smell of burning electronics permeated the room. Injured agents were given first aid. One had to be transferred to the hospital for a bullet wound through the thigh bone. The technical force re-examined all cable lines, discovering the final segment connected directly to a transatlantic cable. This trace became undeniable evidence. The data had been transmitted straight out of U.S. territory. In the field command room, the map was saturated with red. Each dot was another suspected point. The FBI understood that the New Jersey battle was just one of many nests. The director concluded briefly, if this is LC7, then 6 other branches are active. From now on, all activity is considered a national-scale cyber counterintelligence operation. The campaign escalated. Rapid response units were deployed to the remaining states, preparing for the next wave of attacks. In the heart of America, the invisible war between humans and data officially entered its fiercest phase. From the data recovered in New Jersey, the identity of the Shanghai native network engineer Lu Jiwei was confirmed as the chief architect of the entire long code system. He had previously worked at the Chinese Military Information Technology Institute, specializing in developing anonymity algorithms and attack mechanisms against foreign financial infrastructure. After leaving China, he entered the US on a research visa, then disappeared from all official records. When the FBI sealed off the data points, the signal from his computer at the University of Illinois abruptly cut off, indicating the subject had been alerted. SWAT teams were rapidly deployed to the university campus. Local police assisted in sealing off the entire area, requesting student evacuation. Tracing data showed Lu was in the basement of the Technology Research Complex, which housed the school's most powerful computer system. As the forces approached, he had initiated a program to delete all original command files. The technical team was forced to intervene directly on site, cutting the main power to save the remaining data fragments. Lu used that moment to activate a small-sized electromagnetic pulse (EMP) device hidden in his backpack. A strong electromagnetic surge plunged the entire building into darkness, instantly paralyzing computers, keycards, and walkie-talkies. Amidst the smoke and dust, Lu broke through an emergency exit, rushing into the hallway. Agents pursued. A brief skirmish occurred when he threw a smoke bomb containing eye-irritating chemicals. The rapid response team split in two. One group flanked to the upper floor, the other followed the underground utility path. The only remaining working location signal was from the building's security camera, showing him running across the open field, heading towards the parking lot behind. A delivery truck was hijacked. He drove away at extremely high speed, crashing through the university's east gate. State police coordinated with the FBI to set up roadblocks on the highway. A fierce daytime pursuit ensued. Inside the vehicle, Lu was still connected to his laptop via a private mobile network, attempting to transmit the remaining data. Technicians at the control center noticed the packet heading toward the Shenzhen server, triggering the national firewall to block the entire route. On the road, a special operations vehicle closed in, forcing him to turn into the suburban area of Springfield. Consecutive collisions caused his vehicle to lose control, slamming into a steel fence along the roadside. FBI forces approached, using tear gas to subdue him before he could self-destruct the device. They seized an encrypted phone, a high-capacity storage drive, and a second, unactivated EMP device on his person. All were sealed on the spot. An agent was slightly injured in the hand during the approach, but the entire team was safe. When escorted to the federal detention center, Liu remained absolutely silent. The technical room proceeded to examine the hard drives in his vehicle, discovering a military-grade encrypted folder containing the complete architectural schematic of long code. Each branch in the system was numbered from LC1 to LC12, corresponding to each attack cluster within the U.S. territory. Alongside this was a list of dozens of other network engineers, mostly Chinese nationals, some residing legally on student visas. This data was immediately transferred to the National Security Agency for coordinated arrests. Preliminary analysis showed that Liu Jiwei was not only the technical operator but also the main communication channel between the hacker group in the US and the command unit in China. He used an anonymous relay network via servers in Singapore, Japan, and Canada to obscure the transmission path. In his personal drive, specialists found the long code Phase 2 plan the next phase of the campaign, with the goal of expanding attacks to energy, transportation, and medical information systems. The capture in Illinois was considered a turning point in the entire firewall campaign. For the first time, the FBI had direct evidence proving the link between hacker groups operating in the US and Chinese state technical organizations. However, the decoded data showed at least 4 groups were still undetected, hiding deep in the western states. That evening, the FBI director signed an order to expand the campaign, authorizing a nationwide sweep in coordination with allies. The command was transmitted through the internal encryption system, activating a new phase, Firewall Global Link. The war was no longer confined to U.S. territory. The evidence from Illinois had opened the door to an international front, where all boundaries between the real and cyber worlds were gradually blurring. When the data from Illinois was fully decrypted, the FBI realized the long code network was not only operating within the U.S. territory. Dozens of data transmission lines extended beyond the border, connecting to server clusters in Singapore, Tokyo, London, and Hong Kong. The symmetrical signal chains, military-grade encryption speed, showed this was a global network with backing from the state level. An urgent report was sent to the White House. On the same day, the Justice Department, National Security Agency, and the Pentagon held emergency meetings with intelligence representatives from the UK and Japan. The final decision was signed. Operation Firewall expanded into an international coalition campaign against Chinese cyber espionage. The UK intelligence agency MI5 quickly discovered a technology company located in East London, registered under the name of Accounting Software Export, which was actually a supplementary data center for long code. Inside, it contained a system of automated relay servers, helping to mask the transmission path between the Chinese hacker groups in the US and the operations unit in Shenzhen. MI5 coordinated with GCHQ Special Forces to launch a raid during business hours. 2 ethnic Chinese engineers were arrested. One attempted to self-destruct data with acid but was subdued before the device activated. The seized data was transferred straight to the FBI, confirming the same code format as what was found in Illinois. In Japan, the Tokyo police, in coordination with the National Security Bureau, raided a clandestine office in Shibuya. 3 Chinese engineers operated a supposed AI research lab, which was actually a center for encoding and distributing tasks for long code. The arrest was quick, but in the process of sealing, a Japanese technician was slightly injured when an automatic security system exploded. Extracted data showed they received direct funding from a Chinese government civilian research fund. Meanwhile, in Singapore, national security forces sealed off a large data center in the Jurong industrial area. Hundreds of servers were confiscated, including equipment programmed to match the LC3 code sequence the FBI had been tracing. The seizure proved the long code network had built a globally distributed attack system, ready to activate at any time. Back in Washington, the campaign coordination team worked non-stop. Every data packet from the UK, Japan, and Singapore was merged into a composite map. Each bright spot was a server cluster. Each connection line was a clandestine communication channel. At the center of the map was the symbol Unit 73, identified as the network technical unit of the Chinese security forces. The final report concluded, long code was a state-level attack campaign, using a network of quasi-military hackers abroad to infiltrate U.S. infrastructure. A diplomatic response immediately erupted. The Chinese embassy in Washington protested the unfounded accusations, while the White House issued an official statement. The United States and its allies will defend their financial, energy, and information systems at all costs. Immediately afterward, technical sanctions were issued, blocking all devices and software related to blacklisted Chinese technology companies. Simultaneously, the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, activated a joint coordination mechanism. The nations shared online data in real time, identifying remaining active transmission lines. A series of cyber sweeps were launched in Canada and Australia to block temporarily hidden servers. Each time a point was dismantled, the long code system restructured, showing a level of sophistication beyond prediction. At FBI headquarters, the campaign director reported, "They are not just hackers, they are a technical unit commanded by the military." The operations room fell silent. Everyone understood this was no longer a cybercrime investigation but an undeclared national security war. That night, the remaining servers within US territory were simultaneously counter-attacked. Long code's final attempt to erase its traces. The digital counter-offensive order was issued. The entire intelligence system coordinated the response, tracing every data packet back to the final point in suburban San Jose, California. There, an unusually strong signal was detected, constantly changing its virtual location. The coordination center made the final decision. That's the core point. End the campaign there. Operation Firewall entered its final phase: containment, assault, and complete annihilation of the remaining Chinese hacker network on US soil. When the data from Five Eyes was fully synchronized, all transmission lines pointed to the same coordinates: the Santa Clara Industrial Park, suburban San Jose, California. A two-story building disguised as a tech company, but reinforced with steel and equipped with a high-capacity cooling system, housed the final control center of Long Code. The FBI director ordered the deployment of the decisive phase of the firewall campaign: surround, breach, and completely neutralize the remaining Chinese hacker network. Federal SWAT teams and the local SWAT force coordinated the perimeter from 4 directions. The sky was clear, the sunlight reflecting off the building's glass like a bright blade. Technicians set up jamming antennas within a 200-meter radius, blocking all outgoing communications. Inside the control center, 6 hackers were operating. They noticed the unusual signal and immediately activated the automatic defense system, a living firewall capable of counterattacking US security servers. Data streams began to overlap, and feedback algorithms caused localized congestion in the FBI's internal network. The command from headquarters rang out: "Go in, disable manually." SWAT breached the door, heading straight for the second floor. Inside, the wall was covered with computer screens, thousands of lines of code running. One of the hackers tried to throw a short-circuit device but was taken down before he could act. 2 others drew guns, a brief shootout ensuing in the narrow hallway. An agent was hit in the shoulder. The remaining team closed in and subdued them. Concurrently, the technical team had to seize system access while data was being deleted in a reverse time sequence. At the main control room, the supervising engineer discovered the core link file, the coordination center for the entire Long Code network. If this file was deleted, all evidence would vanish. Security specialists opened a direct connection, using an override algorithm to keep the process in a frozen state. The screen showed a barrage of automated counterattack codes, sending viruses back. The digital and physical battles unfolded in parallel. On the second floor were gunshots. On the first floor was a speed contest between man and machine. Outside, the perimeter team spotted a truck trying to crash through the steel fence, leaving the industrial park. 2 Chinese subjects were driving, carrying a container filled with satellite transmission equipment. The vehicle was stopped after a few hundred meters. 1 subject was injured, and 1 was captured alive. Initial checks showed they were attempting to move a backup transmitter out of the area, aiming to maintain communication with the Shenzhen server. Inside the building, the final data stream of Long Code hit the 99% transmission threshold. The FBI director ordered the power cut to the entire industrial park. In an instant, the power supply was severed. The server system stopped abruptly, and the hard drives entered a physical protection mode, preventing the signal from escaping. The living firewall was paralyzed. A team of technicians immediately dismantled the equipment, packaged and sealed each cluster, while the SWAT team swept the basement for automatic explosive devices. After nearly 2 hours of engagement and processing, the operation concluded. All 6 hackers were captured alive, 2 in injured condition. 5 agents sustained minor injuries, with no fatalities. Data recovery yielded thousands of encrypted files, recording in detail the entire structure of funding, communication, and a list of targets in U.S. infrastructure that Long Code had attacked. Initial analysis confirmed. The San Jose Center was the core operational point for the entire campaign. taking direct orders from a technical unit in China. That same day, the report was submitted to the White House. The FBI director stated briefly, "Operation Firewall has concluded. The long code threat has been eradicated." The information was kept private. Only a few official announcements were released to the public as a successful cyber espionage counter-operation. The rest was transferred straight to classified files. However, during post-analysis, the technical team discovered a suspicious detail. A small code file, named seed02, was hidden deep in the auxiliary memory, still operating silently even though the entire system had been disconnected. The data in the file contained no attack commands but was a backup startup code. This meant, a part of long code was still alive somewhere. On the command center screen, a new bright spot appeared on the digital map, a faint signal emanating from outside U.S. territory, in a neutral area of the Pacific Ocean. No one spoke. After hours of silence, the director said a single short sentence. "Firewall isn't over. It's just begun." The campaign ended with absolute success on the ground, but in the invisible world of data, the flame had not yet been extinguished. Far away, lines of code quietly restarted, signaling a new cycle in the war between humans and the artificial intelligence they themselves created.